again, be prayerful with your comments and thoughtful. It will be very interesting for me to watch tonight, everyone's communication style, because we've all been keyboard warriors for how long now? So, am I right?
You are correct, sir.
That's kind of nice, convenient.
Yeah. I can sit in my living room, my jam.
Any community input? No? Okay.
We got. Oh. Thought he was starting without saying the pledge. Who else is?
You know, it's 6:59, I think we're going to call it. All rise. Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We know Patty will not be here. Who is next in line? And so she's secretary. Member Carlson, would you be willing to do the roll?
Yes,
Okay.
I can. Is Eric Morgan present?
Present.
Mr. Wade Wahlberg?
Present.
Patty is not present. April Carlson is present. Greg Strumka?
Present.
Kent?
Present.
And
Mr. Conway.
Mr. Conway? Not here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, this concludes roll call. Thank you.
NC. All right. Okay, item number 4, announcements, agenda adjustments, approval, and information dissemination. So we've got a lot of items here. We're removing action item B, elementary student parent handbook, and turning it into review. Same goes for the secondary schools student parent handbook. The additions are the Lancer manufacturing proposal, the adult meals increase proposal, 10-year expenditure plan application for long-term financing, review informational, and then the review informational item for the elementary and secondary school handbooks. Any board member reports? Mr. Welper, anything?
No, not at this time.
Ms. Carlson?
Nothing?
No report.
No reports. Kent? Any?
Another grandson.
Oh!
Congratulations.
All right.
Number 6.
Do we have a name?
Ezekiel.
Ooh, a little biblical there, had a guy.
Sorry I missed the last meeting. I was helping our son move to Salt Lake City.
No problem. Okay. I do not have a report item. Moving on to item number 6, community input. We have none tonight. So let's move on to item number 7, consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Any discussion on the consent agenda? Hearing no pleas for discussion. Do we have a roll call vote?
Do we have to do roll
No.
call yet?
No, we don't.
Oh, hey, we're in person. Okay. All those in favor?
I'm
Please
virtual.
respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. That felt
Oh,
good.
yeah, done.
That felt really good. Okay,
Well done.
Oh,
fantastic.
This is just a
All
holiday.
right. Moving on to action item 8A, COVID preparedness plan, community input survey results. Okay, there were no changes. Yeah. Okay, so we had 168 responses. But that's all 168. all get a chance to go through these? One big question was, how well did you feel your child did socially and mentally during the last 18 months of school? 1, not well, to 5, very well. Interestingly enough, the median was the median, number 3. But that's kind of surprising to me. I would not have guessed that. Well, it's just like a bell curve.
Yep.
So. How well, this is interesting too, 175 responses. How well did your child do academically during the last 18 months of school? On the fireside court, I had a dumpster fire.
Mhm.
But here, that's interesting. Okay.
Steve, do you think there's a little bit of collaboration going on with the online school?
Between students,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
I think we learned a lot.
Okay.
And I think I think one of the challenges that our staff had was how do you distribute assessments and do that fairly as well. So, but I do think we learned some things that we'll probably keep using moving forward too. But yeah, I mean there was all of that. Some good, some bad, Wade.
Okay.
Here's another question, 164 responses, and it looks like that's all 164 of them, so. Same deal, 156 responses, and here's 156 individual responses. Did anything jump out at anyone? Admin, anything, were there any eureka moments of, oh, yeah, should have thought of that?
I guess my bias was on the mental health. I really didn't expect to see it be so uniform across the board.
Okay.
And maybe that's because the people that were doing well or doing okay, I probably wasn't working with. And that.
Can you folks hear back there?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to shut this off, sorry.
So I was just commenting that I think the one thing that stood out to me was the overall bell curve of the mental health. And I don't know if it was just, my personal experience, but I think the students that probably were doing well, I didn't have as much contact with them and their families. So the ones that did need more support, I used a lot of time in that area. So that was interesting to me. I don't know, I haven't had a chance to really think about it, but that didn't turn out the way I thought it would.
I got a quick question. When was that survey sent out?
This summer, like early July,
This is about a month ago.
Okay.
Mhm.
late June.
I think it was right after the board meeting in June.
In June? I couldn't quite remember when it was sent.
So it was after school.
After school, yeah, I was gonna say, it probably would have been a different response if it would have been earlier this school year, or middle of school year.
Well, then how many times will things change before school starts? So I know that there was some differences of opinion on the COVID-19 preparedness plan. Do we have anyone from refresh my memory, who all is on that committee again, Steve?
Myself, Jeff, Josh, now Eric,
Okay.
Lauren. We have one board appointee. I believe April is on that group now.
Mm-mm.
No,
Kent.
Kent, I'm sorry. Yep, so Kent is on there. And who? And Beth.
Can't hear us all.
I have to think, because that
It's a
group
lot.
hasn't met in a while. And Patrick's is on there too, yep.
Kathy Erickson, Laura.
Kathy's our staff person, Tara. It's a big group.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm not sure on the input survey results, how that's an action item. Can't really approve them, or not approve them.
Well, so I have a question. Did anything in the survey results, though, cause us to want to change what we had already drafted in the preparedness plan? Or do we feel like it covers what we're seeing in the survey results? Because we had that drafted first, then did the survey. Do we need to change anything in the plan? I don't know if the group looked at that at all. The
Do you know
COVID.
if the groups had a chance to meet and look this over?
We have not together.
Well, then it seems like a good idea to do that.
Yeah, and I think with the information coming out from the state, MDE, and unfortunately, it's conflicting information, but we should look and at least make sure that what you guys are saying, use a survey as a guide. I will state this, what you're seeing in that is you are seeing the by and large, because of the work that the staff did, because of the collaboration, because of what's going on, I think you did find a lot more, to put it in a satisfaction with what happened. I mean, it was a hard year for everybody. I think people understand, and when you look at some of those survey results, I mean, I'm gonna tell you, you can find what you're looking for, and that's a big belief of mine. But if you look and saw some of those positive things, I mean, there was a lot of kudos to a lot of people. So, by and large, I think people know that it was hard on everybody. I think people know that everybody was doing their part. If you look nationwide, I think the trend is that way. It's, hopefully we don't have to come into the fall with all these rules. Steve and I were just talking about it today, though. Is it Pediatric Association? American Pediatric Association threw us a huge curveball by stating that everybody should be masked in schools. MDE and MDH came out last week stating that they didn't know how that was going to be possible with the governor's orders governor's executive orders being done. They were thinking things were going to go back to normal. So we're still in a state of flux. So it would be a good idea to meet and just maybe pull out a couple of scenarios. Keep what we know works. The universal masking, the reason they like it so much is because it's easy. It's not easy to enforce. It's an easy theory. So. And I think you would agree with that. Theoretically, if everybody just wore masks, it'd be fine and dandy. But we know the truth. We know, for one, it's difficult. For two, it puts a lot of strain on a lot of different people. So, but we can definitely meet. We can make that a goal to meet pretty soon.
I have yeah. So they came out with that statement on Monday, which was in conflict with the CDC. And I think that what we need to do, because this isn't over until everybody that wants to be vaccinated is able to be vaccinated. And until that time, you wouldn't want some, for example, 12-year-old bringing it home to the college student that's home for the weekend, and then having that because the 20, 30, 40-year-olds are dying from it. This is the Delta variant is like almost like 100 times more contagious than the previous. And so we cannot be too careful, in my opinion, that we take every precaution that's possible. And masking is something simple. Nobody likes it. I mean, I got to wear one every day, but but I think that anybody that's in the school, staff, you don't want to walk around being the vaccination police, checking to see if somebody's vaccinated or not. That's not our job. But we can mandate that everybody wear a mask while they're here. And, that's a hard call. There's a lot of people that aren't going to like that. But, if it's coming from the board, it takes pressure off the teachers and the administrators and stuff, and just say, I think we have a big decision to make, and the sooner the better. In fact, we almost need to let people know within a couple of weeks what our plan is going to be. So I would be for masking, but that's my opinion. But I think the pediatricians know a lot more about children than the CDC. And I think we need to weigh more heavily, and they said it's up to each individual board, and, the states, they're always, so that's my 2 cents.
So can we try and get a meeting together in the next 2 weeks? And if
Can I
there's-
just throw something out here, though? The
Yeah.
later we make a decision, the more information that will probably be out there. And I know that puts the thing off, but we have a meeting already set in August, which is the third Wednesday. I think that would give us enough time to determine what we want to do. It also gives us enough time to see what other neighboring districts are possibly doing as well. I do not want to be an outlier of that we're only doing something that this district's doing. So, I would think our next meeting in the third Wednesday would be sufficient time.
What I'm talking about is a COVID
Committee
committee
meeting.
meeting. So the
To
members
report
of the
to it.
COVID committee go through this. And I would, you know, if there's any interested board members, I would encourage them to be a part of it as well.
So then to come back to us with it in our meeting in August,
Right.
that would make sense, yeah. And then we can set something.
Okay, all right, well then, I think we take no action on this, and we'll just come back again next week, or next month. But the COVID committee meeting will happen. before the-
I'm the chair, so I guess it's gonna happen.
All right, good.
That's such a good invite the other.
Okay,
Thank you, Beth.
moving on to action item 8, D as in David. Transfer of funds for property purchase. Commentary by Eric Martinez and Nicole Fitzgerald.
For those of you that don't know Nicole, Nicole is our business manager. But what we have to do is what we should do is move $25,000 from the capital improvement set aside to cover the down payment on the property to be purchased prior to closing, which may be October 29th or before. And then afterwards, we'll need to move at least $165,000 again to cover the final payment. Kevin set all this up, or Mr. Cardio set all this up. He did have a IEA is gonna do an asbestos check, and then he's working on access and keys. And he's also talked to Travis Enke to start looking at whether or not we can move the home and if somebody's interested in that. So, last time they did that, they were able to receive $15,000 for the home that you guys moved. So that is what we are requesting. Anything to add, Nicole?
Nope.
Patrick?
Even if we got $1. It's still
It's better than paying to tear it down.
correct.
Are you requesting to transfer 25,000
No.
now?
Yep.
And then the
We'll come back
next
for the
board meeting
165.
would be the remainder?
Yes,
Okay.
for the closing.
So I make a motion to approve the transfer of $25,000.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing no request for discussion, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Okay, action item 8, E as in Edward, school board expenses. Action should be taken to set the school board members' compensation per meeting to cover mileage and expenses. Current compensation is set at $200 per month per board member and $300 per month for the board chair.
Move to approve.
We have a motion.
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion?
Yeah, only if the board chair buys us all beer afterwards.
That can
Just,
happen.
just kidding. I got it.
Hope you like the lats.
So this is just to keep it the same, right?
This is just.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And if some people, the public sometimes like, what do you do for 200? There is lots of meetings outside of here and reading. I mean, it is,
Takes a
it's
lot
not
of
like we're
time.
getting rich on it. There is a lot of time that goes into getting ready for these meetings, actually.
I had no
'Cause I
idea
read
there was
slow.
compensation when, or stipend when we ran. I mean, I did.
I never knew about it either.
So your hearts are pure. That's good to know.
Yes, that's,
Covers my increased liquor
Yeah.
store
Okay.
expenses, though.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. We have a little discussion. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Can I make a motion that we group F through K together, please?
oh, look at that.
Yes. That sounds
Then we can
great.
talk about stuff that's really
Yeah.
gonna change.
We have a motion to tackle F through K all at once. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Marvelous idea. discussion? Hearing none, please vote. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. All right, those all passed. And for the public that's here, this is all just, I mean, one
Same
is the
stuff we do every
newspaper
year.
for us, and I mean, it's just procedural stuff, so. And you've all got a copy of the agenda, so. Okay, action item L, meal reimbursement rate. The out-of-district rate for meal reimbursement is currently set at a maximum of $50 per day. Meal receipts are required. Boy, if you're up in the cities, $50 doesn't go very far.
It's more than I get for my job, though.
I
Yeah.
think I don't know where you eat, but
Yeah,
that'd be
25 bucks a meal.
just
or-
fine for me.
Wine, appetizer, and dessert doesn't need to be on there, but.
Yeah.
All right, well, okay, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right,
Second.
we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion. Well, I'll just formally go on the record as saying that doesn't seem like a lot of money, but that's fine,
It's per day.
yeah.
Thanks.
Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Aye. Okay, motion passes. Okay, action item M as in Mary, student athletic activities fees. It is recommended that the participation fees for the following activities remain at the 2021 rates as follows. I'm not gonna read all of that.
Move to approve.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, discussion. Any discussion? I mean, that seems prudent.
To be fair, we went down, we used to be
140, right?
we used to be the highest in the complete area. I think we did a study that one time, so this is actually down. Continuing with this is good.
Yep.
I mean, we want people to be involved, and again, Steve, or if somebody's on free and reduced, they can get, these
Scholarships.
fees are waived.
Yep.
Okay, very
Yep.
good.
All right. How is it communicated to the free and reduced population that they can, you know, be part of any activity? Gratis.
Well, the online registration opens this coming Monday, and it will be open through August 13th. And I think on that, they can self-identify, and then that impacts, you know, the rate that they would receive for that. So they're asked that question.
All right. So it's effectively communicated to them that they know that their kids can join
Yep.
anything and get free. Okay, great. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Action item N as in Norman, 21-22 athletic event fees. It is recommended that the participation fees for the following activities remain at the 2021 rates as follows. $6 per adult per event, $65 per school year, $4 per student per event, $35 per school year, $150 family of 4 yearly activity card. So they can buy $150. Entertain a motion.
I have a question.
Okay, can we hold it for discussion? All right. Do we have any motions on this? Motion to approve?
So moved?
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, so we've got a first and a second discussion, yes.
Okay, my question is, can we just do 150 for a family, period?
Yeah, I think, well, I'd like to see that. I hate to see kids pay even to, I mean, they should be able to come support their classmates without having to pay, in my opinion, but.
Well, some families aren't 4, and some are less than 4, and some are more than 4. So can we just say 150 for a family pass? And it would include whoever's in the family.
Instead of the 65 for adult? For adult.
No, I think that's if you just want an individual. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you
so-
want a family pass, which is what I get,
Mhm.
So you're saying take out just a family, and so it's not a number?
Right, because if you have, what happens if you have 6 people in your family, right? You shouldn't have to pay more than 150.
So we've got a motion and a second right now for this exact wording. So, yes, Ken?
Yeah, actually, given how hard last year was on everybody, I would rather see this cut in half at least. And, you know, they have student, what do they call them when they get the rewards?
The pride cards?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, if a family has students participating, I mean, holy mackerel, you know, whereas old people that are going to watch their grandkids, they can fork out the dough, but, I mean, for a young family, or, you know, with kids in school, let's give them as best break as we possibly can, please. That would be my appeal. And I don't know how you want to word that.
Well, and for context, Steve, I know Josh is not here. He did a census of the Three Rivers schools around us, right?
Yeah, the $6 is consistent, you know, with what other schools are asking. I'm not sure, though, if anybody's looked ahead to this year and has talked about changes. You know, the State High School League for tournaments, obviously, those admission rates are set. We can't adjust that. So at one point, these were aligned with, you know, the other districts that were around us, too.
With your background in counseling and all that stuff, do you think would that be very helpful to the whole school spirit here, or what could
You
you
know,
do?
I would agree. I think, I'm not, I guess I don't know for sure if cost is a barrier to our students that are coming, because like you said, a lot of our students that have pride cards
Okay,
are able to attend, and they can do that, you know, free of charge. Last year, I think, you know, the percentage of students typically in any given year are anywhere from 60 to 70, sometimes even higher percent that have pride cards.
okay.
You know, so on that end, I don't know how much of an impact it would have. Certainly, I think the bigger impact would be on families,
Okay.
you know.
I guess I'm okay with increasing to any family, but, you know, we have football back this year. That's gonna be a lot bigger gate than we're used to with varsity football. If we have 400 people show up, it helps to pay for our sports. And those great officials.
Throw eggs.
Beth?
Just kidding.
Like I said, I think any family I think would be, but I'd leave them just, because it's a way we make money, because that helps to reduce the activity fees up here as well. Plus, I want to charge Caledonia more money, and we can't do that.
You can't.
As
Come on,
long as
that
we
was
bring
funny.
concessions
It
back,
was.
that's
I
all care
laughed.
about. I just want concessions back, so that's,
Okay, so we've got a first and a second for this paragraph, exactly how it's worded. So if you're not in favor of that, then you need to vote no, and then we'll come back with new wording. But, any further discussion on this? So loosely, where do you want to be? So you want the family to be $150 regardless of number?
What if we reduce the student fee down? I mean, that would help get more students in. I mean, maybe not, but.
do you mean like for the pass card for student?
What's that?
Do you mean like the pass card for a student, or the per?
Just the per student, per event.
Well, don't forget, those students also mean students coming from other districts. So we
Yeah.
don't want to have we're going to have to determine who's a student here, so that's why $4, we get a lot of money from that, and that's coming from outside. So I think that would be, I'd like to keep that one, I guess, just for the money's sake.
How about to balance it, just throwing, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Were you done?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I moved on.
So, how about if their children are taking free and reduced, would that be a way to really
Could you
defer? Yeah,
say maybe could we, wait, sorry to interrupt,
No,
but
you're
could we
fine.
introduce that into that 35 if you get free and reduced? You could get that.
The card?
that card
For free?
for free.
Do they
Because-
already get in for free, the free and reduced?
That's a good question. I don't know that they do. No, we wouldn't. You know,
Because I mean,
that way they can.
those are more likely the kids with the lower academic, so they probably wouldn't be getting the
Yeah, yep,
the
Right.
pride card. And that would help them come to sports and be more part of school.
And we don't want them to have to say it at the table either.
No.
Yeah.
They should be able to come to the office and get the card.
And then once they have the card, just, be like your parents already paid for it, they can come and get it, and they can go as they needed to the events.
Yeah.
Same card for everybody.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just season
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah, it'd be like a season
I like
pass for
that.
them.
Yeah, I like that.
I
do.
love the synergy.
So we gotta negate this thing unless you wanna do amendments, buddy.
No,
Okay.
so just,
We'll turn this one down and then.
yeah, okay, yeah, let's vote on this first. All those in favor of this, please vote by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, so we just voted it down. Entertain a motion for entertain a new motion. Yes.
I'll make a motion that
Yes.
we change this to the last verbiage. If somebody's getting, family's getting free and reduced, that they get the card for free
Okay,
to facilitate for their family.
all right, so that, okay, and then also that the
And that we
$150.
strike of 4.
Strike, yes, okay. So the last sentence would read $150 family yearly activity card, and then the next sentence would read, any free and reduced,
Are eligible for
any free and reduced families
Upon request.
yes,
are eligible upon request.
at no charge.
Upon request to receive,
Families or students? The whole family or just the student?
The whole family. That way the parents can go see their kids play.
Yeah, it'd be the whole
The
family,
it'd
'cause
be a family pass.
the families
family
who
pass.
qualify
That
for
would
them.
make sense, yeah.
Mhm.
are you okay with that, Steve? Does that sound agreeable?
Yep.
All right, I'll read this then. So the new motion is, so we got it first, do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
All right, discussion, I'm gonna read this to you now for the discussion. So action item NA, 21-22 athletic event fees. It is recommended that the participation fees for the following activities remain at the 2021 rates as follows. $6 for adults per event, $65 per school year, $4 for students per event, $35 per school year, $150 of family yearly activity card, and also any free and reduced families are eligible upon request to receive family pass
At no charge.
at no charge.
I wouldn't just say family pass though. I'd just say student, adult, or family pass, and/or.
Good. Yeah.
Student
Adult.
and/or
Family.
family. Admission at no charge.
Activity card at no
Activity
charge.
card.
Activity card. Good luck deciphering this. Family activity card at no charge.
Just got it recorded, so.
There. Okay, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Any other admin wanna weigh in on it? Okay, yes?
So the applications for free and reduced meals are actually called meal benefit applications. So could we use meal benefits instead of free and reduced?
Yes,
Just so whenever I send them
There you
out,
go.
families
yes.
have an idea.
That seemed a
of what
little
that is.
old, so thank you.
Oh,
was
well,
hoping
I
there was
am.
something.
What do you expect?
Not you, but yeah, I thought there was something good.
Well, and maybe that'd be maybe the silver lining here is that we'll get more people to sign up for free and reduced, which helps us. Because there's a lot of them out
What is
there
it called again? I'm sorry.
Meal benefit meal benefits.
Thank you, thank you.
Can you change the word?
Chair Morgan.
Brittany,
Do you know
Yes.
what the percentage of free and reduced is here?
It's under 15%.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion passes how we left it. Okay. Good discussion. Action item O is an Othello Substitute Pay. The following table shows the district's current substitute pay scales. Per employee contracts, it is designated that district employees subbing for other employees will receive their regular rate of pay unless the regular rate is less than the sub
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve, we have a second. Any discussion?
Yes, is this enough?
Right, that was my question.
Well, I see somebody shaking their head, Beth.
It is competitive.
It's not.
We have substitutes that wait for, they look at our openings that are coming up and they've reported to us. They're like, well, yeah, I'm just gonna see if, Unalaska has anything, cause
They pay a little more.
they pay more.
We need to jack it up.
So we need to go up probably. Because are we having issues getting substitute?
That's across the board.
Yeah,
Everyone is.
So do we want to be on the,
Top.
that first call list, or do you want to be on the bottom? I guess that'd be, how do we want to?
Well, I'd like to see some benchmarking with what other
Yeah.
area districts pay before throwing a
Nicole,
number out there.
Do you know what other districts, do you have an idea what they're
Like 120.
120? And that's from Zumbrota to,
Yeah, a lot of teachers on call is a lot higher. You guys use that?
We do. It's, with us, it's not necessarily, we're not competing with Zumbrota, we're competing with La Crosse.
yeah,
Holman,
that's always our
Alaska.
problem.
Winona.
So if I said 125, you three would say what?
I would say that would put us on the higher end of the competitive scale, yeah.
I would,
Agreed.
how about 140?
So-
Seriously.
Look at the accountant, she's, jeez.
Look, I mean, you gotta pay good people if you want good people.
How much did we pay for, do you have any idea
I
how much we
think this
paid for
is ridiculous.
substitutes last year?
I bet it was a lot less.
I was quoted one time, well, that's right.
Well, it must
Probably
be
not, okay,
110.
bad year to compare it to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
they're all laughing at me, yeah, it was really stupid, Wade, because it was COVID last year, all right.
We were in session all year and we had a lot that we paid for, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if anybody sniffled, they needed a sick day
And they needed multiple
to
days.
quarantine and, yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it was a nightmare for us.
I thought the year before that, I heard some number, I thought that was like $30,000 or $40,000, does that sound right, or
It
not?
does, yeah.
Probably.
Minimally.
I
For
make,
teachers, I think it's been 110 for a few years,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
yeah, I think we bumped it up.
I'd like to make a motion that we put teachers at 140 a day. Secretaries, custodians, everybody else, $13 a day or per
That's an
hour.
hour.
13 bucks a day. 13, I mean, we're not even making minimum wage compared to 2,000.
Can't, I can't vote on that unless I see the numbers, though. I really
Yeah,
can't,
I
because that's a
agree.
significant,
That's an
Like, what,
increase in
what
our
is
budget.
what does our actual staff make?
Right.
Like, what do they make per hour?
Good point.
I want, like,
I like giving money away.
Substitute.
Yeah, that,
Your subs to make more.
yeah.
I'm not opposed to
Really?
raising it, but I'd like to see some,
Subs would make more.
make sure we're not
Overstepping the staff.
overpaying.
Oh, good point. Sorry.
so could I bring up a suggestion that if we were deciding this next month, we'd still be in good standing, right? To get this forward, because it's August and we could get some numbers back, and then we can
Yep.
kind of see what a good thing would be.
We can do
We
that.
want to give you guys the tools to get good people in here on a consistent basis, so we can get good subs for our kids.
When we need them.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
can do that.
So can I, would it be
Table
appropriate if
it.
I say we
So
could
we've
table
got a
this?
first and a second, we're in discussion right now. I just would point out,
Teachers on call.
if we're all in agreement on at least the teacher figure, could we at least agree on the teacher figure?
I don't think we're in agreement on that,
No,
though.
we're not in agreement on it.
No, I won't.
I think, I'd like to see some numbers before we
Yeah.
come out with it.
Because what they're saying is that that's not competitive with other areas.
The 140 isn't?
No, 110 is what's
110
on here.
isn't.
Right. Okay, well, let's vote it, let's have the vote, and then it'll be done, and then we'll bring it back next week, or next.
Well,
Next month.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion failed, so we will plan on bringing this back, and admin will bring us data of,
Teachers on call.
and you know what? Forget about the St. Charles of the world. Let's, tell us about La Crosse, Unalaska, and
The people we're competing
Luther
against.
and Aquinas, because that's who we're competing against, not Caledonia and Spring Grove. Okay. Moving on to action item P as in Paul, engagement letter for fiscal year 2021 audit. So this is normal. Tom Traven, Old Fitzgerald.
Oh, that's me. Yes, so this is the engagement letter from the auditors. Their price is the same as last year, and we will need a single audit this year from the extra federal funding, and that will be no more than $1,500.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? For the public, this is something we do every year. We have an audit. Any further discussion?
Thank you for not reading it.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Item Q, HVED Purchase of Services Agreement, commentary by Nicole Fitzgerald.
Yes, the Hiawatha Valley Ed District contract for this year, similar to last year, up 2.5%.
They went up how much?
2.5.
Historically, does that go up every year? Does it?
I make a motion. We approve.
All right, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I would like to say that, Eric, once you get involved in HVED and start seeing what you want out of it, then we continue to reevaluate this moving forward. Steve, I mean, I don't know if you're happy with everything. I'm on the HVED board. Just if there's things you need, let me know. But evaluate, there's been different times about us breaking away a little bit here and there to do our own thing. I'd like to hear what you think about it as we move forward.
Especially on the special ed.
Yeah, there was talk here at one time with our own administrator here, and I think that's something we continue to look at and see if we're getting everything we need.
So we've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And again, this is on HVED. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Next, Lancer Manufacturing Proposal. This is exciting stuff. Commentary by Steve Smith.
Yeah, this is based on a model in another school district in southwest Wisconsin that has done something very similar in a business partnership. And so Mark Moulton approached us in the spring with an idea loosely organized on that model. But essentially what we're hoping to do is bring together business partners with the school and specifically do it with the intent of having the ability to modify and adjust our curriculum on an annual basis, based on our needs in the area. And I know those of you that have a history with the board, there have been a number of studies and discussions and committees that have met around what do we do to improve the workforce in this area. And then I think it was a year and a half ago, the Southeast Service went a step farther and actually hired 2 people that are known as career navigators to work with districts in our area to help align that and partner, with businesses to get more students aware of what the career opportunities are, and then also give them opportunities to experience it, and then hopefully make it attractive enough that they want to stay in the area, because that's really what, the businesses are looking for as well. So what this proposal includes is that we continue to update our CTE programs. We do it through this partnership and an advisory board. But the twist on it is we would like to create within our program a small business model and do it specifically with the idea that we create the product, and this would be with our students, within the classes. But we would create the products, we would market the products, we would distribute them. We would essentially try to mimic what a small business actually looks like, outside in the community. So with that, the idea would be selling those products could create a revenue stream for us that we could continue to put back into the program, which, as many of you know, CTE programs are very important but very expensive, and so as things age out and they have to be updated, they can put real strains on school budgets. So with that idea, we set out last spring within our site level budgets to figure out how much can we dedicate to some of the new machinery that we would need in order to do this. And that covered a portion of the costs. Mr. Moulton was able to go out and have conversations with business partners and community partners that are interested in supporting that as well. And then also was able to identify some grants. And through those revenue streams and what we were able to put together as a budget, we can get this off the ground. What we need moving forward, as is outlined in the proposal there, would be your blessing on the overall project. And then also, we need to create some different budget lines in order to take that money in and then be responsible for how that money can be spent. But the dollars would be associated with the budgets of those programs. It would not go towards salaries, stipends, supplement anything. One area of interest that the partners had was can we generate scholarships for kids that want to go on and pursue these? And that's the piece that Nicole and I and Mark have to work on a little bit more diligently. But that's number one. And then also, it would be important if there's a board member that has an interest in serving on that advisory board, we would need that participation. I think initially, it might be a commitment of every 2 weeks as it gets going. I think eventually the hope is that it could be monthly, and we have other CTE committees now that meet quarterly. So I think as this gets off the ground, it would be time intensive on the front end. And then hopefully as we, begin to develop that model moving forward, it wouldn't take as much, time. So
I'd be interested in taking that part.
good.
What a fabulous idea. Move to approve.
Yeah, great.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second discussion. Well, this is the entire reason we built that wing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just falls in beautifully.
And I do want to add, I know that those 2 positions that Southeast added, those career navigators joined us in the pandemic, so I don't think you've had an opportunity to meet any of them, but they are outstanding people, and they have done a lot of work, and it's been a challenging job to be able to do that when you can't actually have access to the kids. So we're looking forward, to what they've already done, and I think they will pair nicely with this too.
Will we have to tax whatever products are sold?
I don't know that
Yeah.
if we sell it to the community, we have to charge a tax. So,
That'll be good though for them
Yeah.
to learn about.
yep,
But if you're buying materials and things were tax-free under that, then they wouldn't have
that
to
we
pay
are.
taxes on
Yep.
it?
If we go to purchase equipment,
Correct?
we don't
If
still
you're
pay
selling it
taxes.
to the public, you have to tax it.
He's talking about buying.
When you
Like,
purchase
when you
it,
buy the
Buying for the
materials,
program.
so we're buying it.
buying the raw materials.
But you're buying it to sell to the
Yeah,
public.
it's
So
for
then
profit.
for
You're
profit, so
buying
you'd
it,
have to pay.
you're selling it for profit, so you would have to pay the tax when,
The
for the
equipment,
materials.
the equipment and those things though, that might be a gray area. But if it's a raw material
Materials,
that we
mhm.
use to distribute the product, yeah,
Yeah,
we
you
probably
couldn't
have
use your
to pay
not-for-profit
taxes.
status.
Yep.
Mhm.
So we've got a first and a second, we've got some good discussion. Any further discussion? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make sure that any type of agreement that we would enter into with manufacturers, that if the student comes up with a very unique idea that's, ends up being patentable, that student is protected and for any type of patent rights or anything. Okay, my dad had a high school, he was a high school chemistry and physics instructor for 54 years. He had one student that came up with an idea for Hutch Technology Incorporated, HTI, and my dad helped him a lot develop that, and my dad made sure that he was protected from all the vultures that hover.
But would the patent belong to the district?
No,
though, or
it
to the-
would belong to the student,
The student.
rightfully so. It's
So-
their idea, but they would probably, yeah, that has to be
I guess
worked
if
out.
you go along with when you're doing it, the teachers would have to help the student
Yeah,
apply for the patent.
I'm just concerned about the students in the school.
I would rather see it belong to the district because, you know, if I do work on behalf of my employer, so the student's doing work as a student or part of the program, I can't patent or receive royalties from the work I'm doing. I would like to see it belong to the district or it's gonna get really messy.
I'd probably defer the discussion about
We're
that
still in
till later.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brother's a research chemist for DuPont,
Yeah,
and he has 50 patents.
They
It's
usually-
not a big deal.
They usually put it in their own name, most
Yeah.
engineers, they put it in their name.
right.
So, realistically, I hope we run into that problem,
Yeah, I think we will.
but, you know, I don't think we should let this
No.
be a hang-up for us.
I'm just saying that as a cautionary, whoever develops the whole thing.
Keep
Just
it
a
in
thought.
mind as we go.
All right. So, any further discussion? Any further discussion? Mark, do you want to weigh in? We're talking about your program right now.
Oh,
We're about to vote on it.
do you have any questions at all? Sorry, I came in, my son's baseball game ran a little bit late.
No,
so
that's
I wasn't
fine.
here. Any questions at all, or things you want to know about?
I think we're about ready to approve it.
Yeah, we're about to approve it, I think.
Well, I'm
but-
glad I came then.
Yeah, just sit back down. Sit back down, you're good.
Perfect timing.
Okay. Well, Steve, I'm sure
Yeah.
the committee will talk about patents and whatnot.
I'm guessing we have a lot to learn.
It'd be a great problem to
I think
have.
it would be a great, I don't think it's gonna be a problem that we're gonna see anytime soon.
Right.
So I feel like that's
I don't know, kids are smart.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, they're smart.
it might happen, I'm not saying it won't, but just, I mean, in terms of like, where we're at right now,
Right.
at least this year, my goal is to just like, get it going, get it
Okay.
rolling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and then the possibility of trust specialists, if they find a couple good kids with work ethics and they want to send them to Western, you know, I know Kevin was talking in Pine Island, he had CNC shops that would pay for the kids to go to school. And then if they came back and worked for 3 years, they didn't have to pay it back or whatever. I mean, so it's wonderful. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's vote on it. All those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, use the same sign. Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you for bringing this
Yeah.
up. This is great.
Glad I came.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, action item S.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion?
Is this for, so this is like for staff or?
Adult
teachers?
meal increase, yes. Yep. Any further discussion?
Pretty good deal.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Action item T as in Tiberius, fiscal year 23, 10-year expenditure plan application, LTFM dollars. Commentary by Patrick Hughes.
Every year by end of this month, 31st, this has got to be approved. I guess throughout the year, if there's something that comes up, MDE's willing to work with us, work with the district. I guess we're just looking for approval to get this out.
I guess I would have one question. Is this something that, I don't remember you bringing this forth in the past. Is it
Pretty
normally
standard.
business-
Business manager, yeah.
Normally the business manager?
Yes.
Did you get a chance to look at this,
Yes.
Nicole? Okay,
I just didn't have the detail.
okay,
If there was special
If there was
projects that
questions
he
and
was.
projects,
yeah.
that's,
okay.
Is there any interesting flexibility with this year from the state with what's happening with COVID and things like that? Can we move some of these, do we have flexibility with the funds or
More than other years.
kind of?
More than other years, yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, good to know.
Which is good for us.
All right, I'll leave it at that.
All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
All right, we've got a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. Discussion, any discussion? Any discussion?
It's nice to have this.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. review informational item, 9A is an apple, choir trip, commentary by Steve Smith.
I'm not attending, but it is, a couple years ago, I think, a conversation happened at the board level that when there were trips that were being planned, that there needed to be an awareness. So that's what this is. We have not taken trips for obvious reasons the last couple years, but choir has scheduled one for this coming spring. It is coordinated and aligned with our break. That is one thing that we've asked, is that if large groups of kids do go, that we work around that time frame. So our new choir person is looking at New Orleans, and the outline of the trip is there. She's done a lot of work on it already, and starting in the fall, there will be fundraising opportunities and things to go along with that. She's outlined the things also that she would like to highlight as educational opportunities too, as they take that trip. I was thinking, when the last time we had a choir trip, I think we try to do it every 4 years. It's probably been a little bit longer than that since we've taken a choir trip. So this is probably the first one in maybe 5 years or longer.
I would question the timing, because the band is going on their trip this year, right?
Yeah.
And is the band leaving at the same time?
Yeah.
Well, if you're in
So
band,
we'll
you're not in choir,
So
right?
usually if you're in band, you're not in choir.
You can't be in both.
You can, but you
can,
just
but-
make a choice.
Remember, I went to Dog Patch, so I don't know, but,
Most of the time.
We have
it's
more
one or the
middle
other.
school students that kind of do that. High school, I'm not aware of any crossover.
so you don't, okay.
You know,
That was my only
yeah.
question. All right, entertain a motion.
Well,
Do we need to
it's an
make a motion?
informational
review,
peer
right?
review.
Yeah. All right. That's pretty neat, the World War II museum
thanks.
is down there, I hear excellent things about it. Okay, review item 9B is in Brian, 2021 elementary student parent handbook. How do we want to start this? You know what, I'd like to lump both the elementary and the secondary together, just for discussion's sake.
Sure.
For me, my issue is, if I take my kids out for a dentist appointment, you should believe me. And it just frustrates me beyond all belief. And that's just me personally, but I don't know.
I agree. I don't think we should have to, as a parent, have to get a doctor's note on appointments.
So I think it's the actual attendance policy we would want to take a look at, because the handbook just reiterates what's in the attendance policy. So my perspective, which I've already come to the board and talked about before I was on the board, is I do not think you should need to bring provider notes. I think either in writing from the parent or verbal should be accepted. I would be open to aligning with other districts where if it's over a certain number, beyond that number, you'd have to bring a note. I think some districts were 5, 10, so whatever. But I think we're an outlier by requiring them. And then my other ask for the attendance policy was to add language related to mental health under the excused absence. The districts I checked this morning included Rushford, Caledonia, and Spring Grove, and they all have added the exact same language to their attendance policy related to mental health being an excused absence. And I think we should be in line with that and acknowledge that that is a type of illness, and if they are under a provider's care and have issues related to mental health, that should be an acceptable absence. And I know, Jeff shared his thoughts, and he's not here, but sometimes the school is part of the mental health issue. So I don't agree that the kids should be coming to school if they need a mental health day. so.
Crisis or whatever.
Right, and I'm not asking that a parent calling in and saying, you know, I think you misinterpreted that, you know, calling in and saying my kid needs a mental health day. That's not what the policy update says, that the other districts have added. So,
In April, I'm thinking about number 4 on that one there. So our statement is medical or dental, so you're saying that to add essentially to that mental health treatment or appointments should be in that same category? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
what I'm recommending is that we add the exact same language that Rushford, Spring Grove, and Caledonia have added. They actually added a number 12.
Okay.
And I did send that link earlier. It's in their actual attendance policy, not the handbook.
We can all agree mental health is medical.
Oh, yeah.
We need to
Yeah.
explicitly point out mental health.
I
Or,
think so.
you think so? Okay. Okay.
I'm guessing they got that language from MSBA because it's the same in every single one of them. So
Okay.
I think we should just align and acknowledge that that is a reason to be gone sometimes. I think some days from work, we
Right.
could use a
And-
little break, so.
Yeah, and I shared that, I think, in that email thread earlier today too, that we, maybe a year ago, I think had staff development and district-wide, and one of the conversations was when, like you said, April, when you need, you know, when staff need a break, it was not considered kosher to take a mental health day and call in as a sick day. So we had a lot of conversation around that. I think one of the things that did come out of that was a recognition that, you know, if staff need to take a mental health day, they should be able to do that. And do that under the, you know, the absence policy. And the discussion was around if anything can be done for advanced planning on that, right, to help. So if you know that Tuesday, you need a day on Thursday, then we need to work together so we can try to get sub-coverage and we can try to figure out, you know, how that could be done. I think that was a great step. I can't tell you how many staff took advantage of that, but I agree.
But staff don't have to say why they're taking a sick day, right?
No,
Okay.
no.
But students do.
But, you know, many times they do, they'll fill that out on Teachers on Call,
Mhm.
you know, and sometimes there are absences that require a little more explanation if it's you know, because of the contract language, if they, you know, if it's a death in the family, it's, you know, specific to those
Clarifying
relatives.
question, if I'm a teacher, who do I call into?
Teachers on Call.
You call into so I'm calling in for whatever reason.
Type it in. It's an online thing.
Okay, and then you just send it, say you won't be in today.
Yeah, but we have to
Yep.
give a reason. We have to give a reason.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, we were directed to do that. Sick
Yep.
child, appointment, whatever.
And then that routes through to, eventually, I think, Stephanie.
Yes.
And then building administrators, and then it routes to the office too, so they can see who's been assigned as subs, and then if there are cases where classes aren't covered, then they work within the building to try to make that happen.
I think that point goes to though most organizations have gone to, you just get PTO,
Right.
right? And then it's no one's business why you're taking PTO, you're
Yeah.
just taking PTO.
So how many days will we allow before we require?
Well, that would be open to discussion, right? Because I think, you know, and I remember this now, because I think that was a question that you had earlier, like a couple of years ago. And, you know, when we talked about that within our regional admin group, and I shared that too, it basically comes down to, you know, one of two approaches. You know, one, you just say, you know what, parent excuse, we don't need to know, you make the call. But then when you hit that number that starts to butt up against, you know, whatever the state has in terms of truancy, then that automatically triggers that any absences moving forward, then you do need a note, you know, to verify for it to be excused. But most of the districts said that when that happened, then parents would also go back and get those notes to verify and excuse absences that led up to that number so that, you know, that they could get that threshold down. Or the other way, you know,
But they're
like the
either,
collective
but
front-
that doesn't make sense, because if they're an excuse, so let's say, you know, my kid has a dentist appointment,
Yep,
right?
yep,
So let's say no longer is a note required.
yep,
That's still an approved absence.
it is.
Because it's allowed under the policy as an approved absence.
Yep.
So what would me, let's say you get to the 5, what would me going back and getting a doctor's note show? They still were at the dentist.
Right,
And that was still an approved at that time.
right.
So why would I go back and get notes?
Because of the way it would be coded. So if we went to just parent excused absence, and it wouldn't be, we wouldn't even ask if it was a dental appointment or a medical appointment, it's just parent excused absence, right? So as you hit that threshold then of where we have to start counting then for truancy, you have exceeded the number of 10 absences that you can have in the course of a year as a parent. Your call, you know, you can choose those days as you choose them. But once you reach that limit, you know, then those days would count towards truancy unless you had that, you know, verification that, nope, this is a dental appointment or a medical appointment.
So I think that's a little bit different than what Eric and I are both asking, which is, believe me that my kid is at the dentist and mark it as an excused absence under the attendance policy.
Sure.
Does it-
Not it's a parent absence, but it's an excused absence, right?
Right, and you get 10 of those. And then after that, that's where it falls on us to be able to verify, are these absences related to medical or dental appointments or any of the other things that fell on that list.
Does the state require, like, that to be documented, or like the notes, or how does
If we
that?
got audited, you know, so if they came in and said, okay, we want to review attendance on these students, and there were students with a high excessive number of absences, they would be flagged, and then, you know, that would be the question, you know,
Well,
they would
but
come
we
back.
looked up
So
that,
then-
that state language before, when I was here before,
Mhm.
and I sent it, and the requirement is that it's in writing.
Yep.
That the parent provides in writing the reason for the absence.
Mhm.
It's not required in statute that a doctor's note is
Dr. Combs?
provided.
Right.
So the school would, if audited, the school would not have to show a doctor's note. They would have to show the written
Something
notice from the
in writing.
parent.
Yep. So you would be saying that if you took your child to a dentist appointment, that you're writing the note to verify that that was the case?
Mhm.
Okay,
And signed by the parent.
Yep.
yep.
I always email the office staff today and say,
You know, it's worth the
Aiden's
discussion,
going to the
'cause-
dentist, or
Yeah.
Aiden, you know, whatever. He never brings a note,
right.
because I just don't think he should have to,
Yeah.
so.
And I think it's important too for everyone to know that, you know, that those notes don't go in CUME files. You know, those notes go in strictly attendance files that do get destroyed at the end of the year then.
I know, but it's the point that I shouldn't,
No, I understand.
So
and,
then,
and
I
that
just wanted you
before I
guys to
brought
know
up
that
the, if I have a child that's in some type of eating disorder program, and they
Yeah.
don't want the school to know about it.
Right.
If they bring in a note from the Emily program, even though it doesn't have a diagnosis on it.
Yeah,
You know exactly what that person is being treated for.
right.
And now people in the office know that, right? And that person who's already dealing with
Yep.
some challenges is having to tell other people.
So would the parent note then include that information?
The parent note would say, my child has a medical appointment,
Hmm.
right? And a medical
Yeah.
appointment is an approved absence.
The only question mark there is, what happens if Junior decides to start writing his own notes? And so, I mean,
It-
signing his parents'
the
name.
parent's name.
I mean, I'm just thinking,
Well, then, at
not
the
that I
same
ever did
time,
that.
if we have a set
Yeah.
number of 5 or 10, it also, there'd have to be communication between the school and the parent.
Mhm.
And the parent's number is now listed, so there's no reason that the school can't double check. Because if the school, if the parent calls in, there's a number associated with that.
Yep.
Like, the person in the office should know that this is.
Yeah, the
something
handling
or
on,
an email.
you know, those medical appointment slips, the handling of that at the front end is time consuming.
Yes.
You know, I'm not gonna
Logistic.
disagree with that at all.
Or say it's required via email from the parent,
Mhm. Yeah, and many do,
right? Then there's
Yeah.
not the forged,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I may or may not have written a few of those back in my time, but,
Mhm.
you know.
I was gonna say, Kent, that's.
I was
that's
before
never happened,
computers.
you know.
That's
Yeah.
never happened, yeah.
Yeah, not here.
How much does an appointment in the afternoon count? So if you leave 20 minutes early for a dentist appointment, is a half day? Does it count as an hour?
You know, the way they track attendance in purposes of truancy, so if it was, you know, excused absence is different, right? Unexcused absence, if you miss any part of the day in the state of Minnesota, they count that as a truant event, and it would essentially be for that day,
Full day.
a full day. And so when you reach, what we work with then is if a family or a student reaches 7, you know, unexcused absences, they essentially are a habitual truant. And then that triggers, you know, our next steps, you know, with meeting with the family to find out what we can do. Ultimately, it can end up as a truancy petition in the courts, you know. Probably not at 7. I mean, usually those things end up with students that are, you know, higher than that, you know, number. I'm trying to get my brain around that. You know, the way the state language has set that up is that, you know, students can miss up to 10 days, and there's a lot of latitude as to what that can be for, right? I mean, we have families that take vacations. We have,
Hunting.
yeah, hunting. And as you noticed in our handbook, that's unexcused if you're alone, but if you're with a family member, you're good, right? So, and that's, you know, that's because I think conversations like this over
Yeah.
time have added a
Yeah.
lot of things that are important. So, it's meant to be a comprehensive list, but as you know, you can never meet all of those things. So when you reach that limit of 10, that's what typically triggers in then okay, there needs to be verification. So I think what I hear you saying, April, is even if I reach that 10, you know, I've had my student out for 12 days, let's say, and now there's a medical appointment which absolutely is excused, you're saying that as a parent, you could write that note, and then that would count then as an excused absence and not verify with the medical provider.
Nope, so that's not what I'm saying.
No.
What I'm saying is that, let's pick a number.
Yeah.
That's similar to other districts.
Okay.
Let's say 5,
Yeah,
okay? So, my son has 5 different appointments, orthodontist,
yep,
whatever. First appointment, I email the school saying Aiden will be out today.
mhm,
Second, I email the school and say Aiden will be out today for a medical appointment.
yep,
Third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
All you have an email from me every time saying he's out for whatever reason. They're all excused absences in the
Right.
current policy.
yeah,
The 6th one, now he's gone again. I send an email in. We could put in place, then on the 6th one, now you need a note. Now you have to bring in a note because you've had 6 in a month or something, right?
yeah,
So I would be open to requiring a note after a certain threshold from
Right.
the provider.
yeah,
But I think the first, whatever,
Right.
would be a written, notice from the parent.
yeah. I think I understand, because, you know, in that scenario, if those 5 absences we had a medical verification note for, those would not even count towards that total. I mean, that student essentially would still be at 0, you know, so if,
Wouldn't meet the threshold of 5 is what he's saying.
right,
So if we decided that the amount of days absent that we are not requiring a note for is 5, if you brought in, what I
Yeah,
think you're saying,
yeah.
a medical note for the first 5 appointments, you wouldn't even touch those 5, because those are,
Right.
you know, that's beyond the other 5 that are excused, is what I think you're saying.
yeah,
And that makes somewhat sense because it goes on, we're looking at putting on a mental health day.
yep,
Right.
With the mental health day, you're more than likely not gonna have a doctor's note. But on the same side, if you have 5 or 6 mental health days, you might still wanna go see a doctor, and
Right.
talk to somebody about it, and then at that time, be able to get a doctor's
Yeah.
note.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing is what they're, and if you look at your guys' attendance rates, they're pretty high. And I think that's, you know, part of that is because of these kind of policies. That is what the state's trying to do by putting in those truancy laws, and I think that's what you guys in the past have tried to do is make sure that kids are here, you know, so. But I do understand what you're saying. That makes sense to me.
I got a question. So when, if at all, does this ever affect our student contact days for being reimbursed from the state for, how many, you know,
ADMs.
daily totals?
As long as they remain enrolled, they would still count, so.
Oh.
15
Yeah.
days.
After 15 days in a row, if they, you know.
After,
15 days.
15 consecutive days.
Consecutive.
yeah, okay,
Then they would be dropped from our rolls, and then that would in fact impact funding, yeah.
okay.
Is it per event? So like, you know, an orthodontist appointment doesn't take all
No.
day. So.
And that wouldn't count at all.
Okay, so if
Yeah.
I come in and get little Susie at 1
Yep.
o'clock,
You-
that's, okay.
You're good.
All right.
But extended medical, I'm sorry, were you finished?
Extended medical would be fine too,
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted.
yeah. And that one gets challenging because we
Yeah.
have had students that
Yeah.
have been hospitalized for long periods of
Terrible,
time.
yeah.
And sometimes then what will happen is they will receive their educational services from that school district. So we do have to disenroll them so that they can get the services from, you know, the home district.
But with our distance learning model in place,
Yeah, there's
we can do that while they're
possibilities
in the
we can
hospital
continue
room if
that,
they want.
yeah. We haven't had to do that before.
Well,
Yeah.
just
Clarify,
following
what's the
up.
number we're looking at, or we're gonna decide that later? What's this magic number?
I don't have a magic number, I just know that when we reach, you know, like as in April's example, if we reach 10 absences where, you know, students have been called in by parents.
For the entire school?
For the entire school year. At that point, then those students are now monitored for attendance. And so we've, you know, had to ask for those medical slips to verify so that, yep, you're good, you don't have to do that. I think what I understand you saying, April, is that if that fell to the parents' responsibility, I think that's the question that we have, right? So if that note comes from the parent and we're already beyond the 10, you know, and you know, I would say 98% of the time, that's not an issue and it's extremely believable. Our students that do have, and families that do struggle with attendance and have a very high rate, that would get pretty difficult. Because at some point, the progress of that student's education is being impacted negatively, and there has to be some kind of intervention. And then we're kind of in a pickle where the first question that the judge will ask me in that truancy petition is, did you excuse the absence? And if we say yes, it's a pretty short hearing, you know, then out the door we go, you know, and there's not much in terms of next steps. So that's a challenge.
What if we set the number lower than 10 at 5? So
You
we're
could go
halfway
5 a
there.
semester, you know.
And that would, even if we do 5 for the year, that way it gives the parent some leeway
Yeah.
of not having to deal with the doctor's note or for those few times you take your kid in.
Yeah.
And again, what we're
then-
saying here, if you bring them in just for an appointment, that's at the end of the day, this doesn't count
Doesn't
against their
count.
mulligans.
Yeah.
You still got 5 left.
Yeah.
So that's the 5 full day at least, which is,
Yeah.
I think.
I like that. 5 a semester is pretty.
Wow, that kid's better.
Oh, okay, but what about when they leave school to go to the orthodontist and then come back?
They're good. Doesn't count.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and so you're saying as a parent, you write that in, hey, my kid, that's your out pass, right? You write that and say, my student has a medical appointment.
Right.
So if we,
Right, what I'm asking is for him not to have to bring a note from the
Yep.
orthodontist when he comes back to school.
Right.
That you believe me when I say he was at the orthodontist.
yep, right, and
Yeah.
so we'd have to pick a threshold there, you know, and if we're,
Right.
you know, if we're saying 5,
Mhm.
and I think that would absolutely be reasonable. But, you know, like in that situation, then we would be trusting to say, okay, orthodontist, you're good to go, those won't count against that total, and that's what was being done with those medical verification slips.
Mhm.
So, you know, that wouldn't even get to that 5. The 5 comes into play when, you know, hey, Johnny's sick, I'm gonna keep him home today. You know, okay, you know, that's, there's all kinds of reasons why that's appropriate, you know, but then what we have to monitor is at what point are those absences starting to become, you know, excessive? And then our hope is that we work with the family to figure out what solutions or resources or help that they might need.
Right, which is why I think it's important to have in the policy a point at which you can
Right.
start asking for them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you don't have any
No.
leverage to,
Right.
you know, or the people that abuse it, or the people where you know that's not what the kid's doing.
Right.
Right, you're gonna have context clues, right?
Yep.
Do they come back with different things on their braces, different
Mhm.
colors? They were
Yep.
probably at the orthodontist.
Yeah.
Or do they come back covered in mud because they were probably out four-wheeling,
Mhm.
right? So you're gonna have
Yep.
clues too, but you have to have that point at which you can say, okay, if you have one more, you're gonna have to bring a note in from
Right.
whatever.
Steve and Eric, do you have
Yeah.
enough to put something into writing to bring to the next meeting? Is that
Yeah,
kind
I
of what we're
can.
looking at here for,
Right.
and then to look to approve that?
Yeah, I think I have a better understanding now of what the question is that you were asking, and I think there's a way that can work in that model. It's gonna take some work with our office staff to understand, you know, how to code and put those things in, you know, for auditing purposes, but honestly, I think this would be less work intensive, because, you know, in a building of almost 800 kids, there's a lot of notes that come through for a lot of reasons.
Right, which are all
And-
covered under
and they're all-
FERPA, and you have obligations
Yep.
to protect or destroy
Yep.
those, and so
Yep.
you're removing that risk.
Right,
The first 5 of them at least of all
Yep.
the students.
yeah.
And I think too that, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Plus, any COVID issues that are coming
Well,
up.
yeah, the last 2 years,
Yeah.
we've been, I feel like we've been very flexible.
Well, I'm looking for this fall as far as the
Right.
Delta variant.
Yeah.
The committee
Yeah.
needs to talk about how
Right.
that's gonna work.
You know, and I am sensitive to that too, April. I think, to your point, when you're, if a student or a family is dealing with a crisis, and it's so specific to a particular provider, it's hard because we don't have the setup like they do at hospitals where you can have some privacy as you're coming in to talk. I mean, we have an office, and we have Tammy's reception desk, and the world is going on around that. It's hard to create that. I get that. But I think I could write some language now with that understanding, and then we could
Okay.
discuss that, take a look at it, and see, you know, how that would work.
Can you do us a favor and have a conversation with Jeff? And,
Sure, I can.
bring him in
Yep.
on this?
Yep.
Or we make him watch this meeting or something?
There you go.
Just so that
That's punishment?
it's uniform, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea just to
Yeah.
have us sit down and.
Yeah.
look
Not
at
to
it.
keep piling work on you to bring more and more things back to us in August, but it's important to me because it's not an awesome message that we send to the parent.
No,
And
I
the first
understand.
time I was asked, I wasn't a board member and I was not happy.
Yeah.
And the way I was asked wasn't nice,
Yeah.
and
And I'm sorry for that.
yeah, and that employee is no longer with us, so
Yep.
it's fine, but
Okay.
it's.
Or forgetting and have to go back and get one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just,
Eric got on the board just to fire that one employee.
Nice.
but, well, and then I had a thought that, you know, by us increasing our substitute teacher pay,
Mhm.
that's a pretty wonderful way of supporting our own staff. Because I think a lot of teachers are notorious for coming in half dead because they don't wanna, you know,
It's harder to plan.
some drone
It's
to
harder to
come in
plan and suffer
to
through a day sometimes.
hit play on a movie or something,
Yeah.
and so, is that fair to say? Okay, so, I think it all kinda ties together.
So I had one additional question about the absences.
Yep.
So for last year, when kids were online,
Yeah.
I think my ADHD child has 80-some absences because he didn't click the I'm here
Right.
button, even though he was
Oh, yeah.
sitting in the room next to me on his sessions.
He's not alone.
So So I'm just wondering if that's being looked at and if I mean, are they getting like,
There's nothing cumulative that happens
okay,
with that moving forward. And actually, last year, some of the language that came out from the state was along the lines that if they participate in one online class, that counts as attendance for the entire day. And that was not something that everyone understood clearly, and it wasn't something that needed to be advertised, because absolutely middle schoolers were taking full advantage of it.
Fair enough, Steve. Fair enough.
I mean, I feel like he probably should get an award for the most absences for.
My son had over.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, all right, is there any further discussion on this? So do you feel like you've got a pretty good?
I do, yep, I appreciate the conversation. I think we can come up with something that's workable for everybody.
Okay.
Cool.
Is everyone happy here? Do you all feel heard? And, this is a pretty contentious, or has been. Okay. All
And
right.
the mental health language too will get looked at, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, well, that's B and C gone, so,
Thank you, Whitney.
we don't have any staff reports?
No, July is our vacation month, so we choose not to participate in the board reports in July.
Okay, well then, we'll move on to action item number 10, superintendent report by Eric Martinez. Are there enough for?
I don't have enough, I'll publish it, so we'll make sure we publish it, so.
Okay.
Very short, obviously my first one, so. District is a busy place, summer programming, summer school, kudos to the elementary school, the middle and high school, and community ed. Keep learning activities going throughout the summer. Steve and Beth, it does my heart joy when I walk across the street here and I see stuff going on, so thank you for that. Construction updates, I did include those, the two latest updates you should have in your hands. Looks like the elementary school segment C, which Beth and the kindergarten and early childhood people are excited about. It's supposed to be done by 8/26/2021. I know it's pushing it, but they are working very hard. If you drive by the site, you know that they're always moving. Middle and high school site, you guys have got a tour tonight, has a completion date of 9/11. Change orders are coming through. All parties are doing their best to mitigate changes in an efficient manner. I'll give you guys more of a detailed update on those change orders via email with you guys. And then I'm also submitting, or I have submitted my entry plan to you guys for your review. I did put on the entry plan that I'd like to meet with you guys individually, with the board individually. It doesn't have to be a face-to-face meeting, we can easily make it a phone call. I do want to say it's been a great start. I've been fortunate to meet with some great people. Very excited for the start of the school to come. I do appreciate when people come into my office and we discuss things. I think that's the best way we're going to accomplish a lot of what we want to do. And I did establish a recognition part of it as well. And then that's the first part. Thanks to all who've come to meet me, especially in the summertime. I know what the summertime is, like Steve said, this is your time off. I do want to thank the community and the board for your patience and understanding as we grow together. Again, this is my first time doing this. I know I'm going to mess up, but I know I also have a lot of support. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the school board, Mr. Welper, Mr. Morkin, especially for the welcoming right away. Do want to thank our district office. Brittany, you've kept me in check. Leadership team for trying to keep me up to speed. And then I threw this on your guys' report, I didn't throw it on mine. Thanks to Jeff and Bonnie Martin from GROW and setting up school garden events and allowing me to introduce myself to parents and students at these events. Learned a lot about veins on a pumpkin flower, I guess is what you'd call it. So
Veins on a pumpkin?
Veins on that's gonna become the protective covering. I learned that from a second grader.
Wow.
So, I did learn. It's,
I get a body snatchers.
that's what I got too, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
no, it was very interesting. It was Bonnie's son Gus that taught me all about that. I also learned a lot about sharks, so it was good. It was very good, so. No, very good vibe right now. I'm very impressed with what's going on. I will try to get my board report to you guys a week prior to the meeting. Just been a lot of stuff going on with the moving in and the settling in, so. Any questions for me? Thank you. And once again, I do want to thank those that did come to meet me and those that have sent me emails and that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's gonna be the communication that keeps us together and keeps us moving forward.
think there's a picnic coming up for you too, right?
There is a meet and greet, yep, on,
the 10th?
August,
10th, I think.
August tenth, yeah, 5:30, so.
And that's Minnesota, Education Minnesota that's putting that
Admin,
on?
yep, admin with some help from, help and planning from Beth and Jeff, I believe, so, and Steve.
Move to adjourn.
Hold that thought. I just
Whoa!
want to thank you all for coming. We don't usually see anybody, so it's nice to hear you
It's
come.
nice to see other
So
people.
thank you. The better you're informed, the better, everything is, so. All right, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion carries. Good job.
Nice work. It's better in person.
It really is, it really is.
I was really, no doubt, Zoom is convenient, but.
Nice meeting you too.
Thanks,